So what do you do when you are just tired? Tired of the hoping, the praying, the waiting for things to be different, waiting for those hopes, those things that should have happened by now but feel so far away. I'm Shonda Olivia, and it has been a long, bumpy road filled with adventure, fun, but if I'm honest, there has also been gallons and gallons of disappointments too. Have you ever had one of those days where it seems like the tiniest thing can send you into a full-on crash out? Like the tiniest thing just breaks you. Yeah, same. And that is where this video was born. So if you've ever had to be the strong one who secretly, or let's be real, not so secretly spiraling, this video is for you. Okay, so I know we've all heard that what we think about, what we focus on, tends to expand in our experience. Most people by now have seen the law of attraction, they're familiar with it, thoughts are things, and even going all the way back to common wisdom. When you're in elementary school and there's a person sitting behind you and they're just like being really annoying, what do all the teachers say? Just ignore them. It'll go away. And whether that worked out super well or not in third grade, there is energetic truth to how we focus things and the things we want more of and the things we want to just go away. It has a lot to do with what we choose, what stories we continue to rehearse in our minds. So I'm sure you all have seen tons and tons of articles with the stats and the facts and all the doom and gloom, bad news for our generation, resources, the economy, the blah, da, 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 blah, sad story, it's not going to work out supposedly. What I found for me was I had to learn to focus on a new story for the sake of sanity at this point. And eventually I realized I just couldn't keep replaying the same sad narrative. That's when I started playing around with something that I'm now calling the make it count method. So what do we do with all of that disappointment? So here are my thoughts and the process that helps me flip my mindset sometimes when things get kind of dicey in my own thoughts. Okay, so we agree. There's a familiar story. There's a river that's made its path in our thinking that reminds us of just how hard it is and how far we are from our goals. So we've got that. We've got the unhelpful news. But with anything, there's always a different angle. Truth, in my mind, is a prism-like structure, meaning you can look through one angle and the facts and the articles and da-da-da-da, they're all based on something. So it's not, just pure negativity and fabrication. It's based on something. The housing market, the whatever, it's based on something. But it is only one angle of the story. So how can we switch to another angle that's more supportive and reroute that river that wants to run through our minds in the same old direction over and over and over and over again? How do we oversaturate our thinking with more helpful information? So here's how it works. You start with something that you have, something that's working. So this is probably, you're familiar with a gratitude list. Very similar in that way, except that it's focused on a particular subject. Whatever the subject is that's causing you to spiral out, we have a list, however short or long we can come up with, the longer the better, of things that are actually working in our favor in that area. And when it's a particularly down season, it may be hard to come up with, but you can come up with something. If it's a job that you're working, are there people on your job that you actually enjoy? Possible connections in the future that could be used for something? If it's a relationship, is this one at least better than the last one? Or are things becoming more clear that's helping you to move forward? Something that you can put on the list in the having department. And once we have something good, we've already sidetracked some of our focus. But what we're going to do next is the second part. We're going to expand on what we have. And this part is a little bit controversial because we get to include the tool of comparison, but in our favor. So usually when you think of comparison, it's not very helpful. In fact, it strengthens the other list that we tend to carry around of the things we don't have. This person got the last good man that is existing, so it's not available to me. We create these stories looking at other people's blessings and decide that it means that we can't have that. When we look at our neighbor or friend or whoever and say, they have this, this, and this, and it's even more proof that I'm sucking at life and I don't have this, this, and this, it increases your not having. That's generally how that goes. And from comparison often turns into jealousy and the spiral, right? But what if we use the proof of somebody else's blessing as proof that it's available and celebrate that? In an area that I can think of that I used this tool was in the world of modeling. So as you know, I have been a model, professional model for 20 plus years, but I wasn't signed as a professional model to an agency the whole time. In fact, I didn't get signed until I was almost 30, like right at the door. And there was a lot of talk and rumors and things that you read, articles, facts. There were a lot of articles and facts and things that you could read about the modeling industry that basically said if you weren't signed by a professional agent by 18 or 21, it wasn't going to happen. If you weren't a size 2 in between that time, it really wasn't going to happen. There was a whole list of things of why it wasn't supposed to happen. And here I was almost 30. Anyone over 25 at one point, they were calling geriatric models. So not a lot of good news for something that I wanted, something that I was excited about. And there was definitely a moment where I could have let that mean that I probably can't do this anymore. It's probably not going to work out. I got a year or so in as a agent signed model. Now I just, it's done. But what I decided to do instead was create an internal list for myself. A mini list that I could check, and I actually ended up writing it down in my journal at one point too, of names of people that I knew of, some personally, some not, that were in this industry, booked and busy after the age of 30. So it started pretty broad. I had celebrities on the list. My go-to person has always been Holly Berry. I've always been impressed that even now, she's about to turn 60 and she is still killing it. Girl is doing her thing. And so I had kind of a broad list. And the thing about those kinds of lists is easy to make excuses. The broader they are, the farther from you, the more you can say, oh, it'll work for them, but not for me because they're whatever it is. With the celebrities that I had on my list initially, it was all, they've got magical dietitians that do magical things in the kitchen that like rewind their age because some molecules and stuff, right? Like whatever the excuse is that says it can't work for me because they're special. We do that. I would advise not doing that, but the reality is we do that. What helped even more and what expanded my list was simply opening my eyes with new focus. When I was on set, I would pay attention. Who's also on set with me, booked for these jobs, over 30, that's killing it, booked, busy, and working. And I would jot their names down. The excuses went away. And what it did to my story about the, oh no, you're turning 30, what are you going to do story? The story became, not only is it possible to be a successful, booked, busy model after 30, it's now probable because of the proof that I was gathering. And then from probable, it went to an obvious outcome that I expected fully. And that has been my experience. I've enjoyed modeling and acting, and it's something that I intend to incorporate into my life for quite a while. So super blessed, super grateful, and I'm thankful for that mindset shift and how, one, noticing it and being able to apply it to so many other things has gotten me out of a lot of icky thinking. All right, so let's just recap really quick. We have finding something that's working in the area of trouble, including other people's successes and our proximity as proof of possibility, probability, and an obvious outcome that we want. And 3, use all of your expanders. So now we're really expanding this list out of possibility and of hope. And this is where our disappointments can become a system of support for us. On that list, we get to also include all of our failed moments, all of our almosts. You almost booked that really amazing job that would have changed the game for you. You almost got the promotion at work. You almost married the love of your life, or so you thought at the time, of this really great person, and it didn't work out. You almost got the house of your dreams, but then, whatever the but then story is, that part's not helpful. Life is full of almost. So how do we make it count? The almost can go on the list for what we're doing here. The almost becomes an expander for us. And this Bible verse sums it up. Ephesians 3:20. Now to him who was able to do immeasurably more than all we ask or imagine, according to his power that is at work within us. Now that's a pretty bold verse. And God is not a God of accidents. He said what he said. So if I had like a giant highlighter, there's definitely some words that jump out and really support what we're doing here today. The first set of words, immeasurably more. So we've created a list of measurable things that have been in, near, around our experience. Those things can be measured. God is able, and his heart for us is to do more than that. And here's the boldest part. Imagine. So that's why I'm calling all of the components to this list your expanders. Seeing somebody else's success and celebrating with them allows you to imagine. Now that we have a list of possibility that we've been able to witness from others, include from ourselves, things that we were almost so close to experience, guess what that does? It expands our ability to imagine. That's why they're expanders. And that's where those disappointments actually work. And from a creative angle, again, we're looking at the angle of the prism that's most supportive, but that's where those disappointments work to support us. That's how you make those moments count. Disappointments are going to come. It's life. There's always going to be things, but this is our opportunity to make it count for something good. So if you've enjoyed this conversation, let's definitely keep in touch. Go ahead and give this video a like so that I know what kind of content to continue to create in the future. Subscribe to my channel, and let's definitely hang out again soon.